knows exactly about what I'm talking about, but he's even a little smarter than me. Imagine that. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you without any further ado, George Papadopoulos.
Isn't she great? Annie and I, we connected not too long ago, actually. We've been chatting on the phone, but I feel like I've known her all my life. And the moment I met her, there was this electricity, just like there's electricity in this room tonight. I feel like I'm among friends and family, and it's really so great to get down here to the Sunshine State. So thank you so much for welcoming me. I flew in from California for this event. It's a pretty long flight, completely different situation over there than we have here. I guess it was natural that I would come to this district because I just realized Congressman Ted Yoho was the sitting congressman here. He did such a great job. Yeah. And the reason I bring him up is because when I was working on the Trump campaign and I spoke on one of the panels at the convention in the summer of 2016, who do you think was on the panel with me? Ted Yoho. Something now you guys know. Maybe you didn't know that before, but it was Congressman Ted Yoho, who was a senator from Tennessee who just went off the deep end against Trump. Who was that guy? No, he was chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee at the time. I can't remember. Whatever. It was him, Ted Yoho, myself, and I realized what a great congressman Ted Yoho was then, so I'm happy to hear from his constituents here what a great job he did for you. And you're absolutely right. People like Annie and yourselves, you really need to be active and be proactive because our country is at stake. And the stuff I'm going to share with you today is really going to show you how close we really were and are to the precipice because I lived this deep state coup against our sitting president. Okay? It's not a euphemism. Anytime I go on TV, first of all, I much prefer talking in this intimate setting among great patriots like yourselves instead of going on Hannity or Maria Bartiromo or one of these people. And even though I love them and they're very good friends of mine, because you're the voters and I really want to compel you to understand what our country was going through, how the media was complicit, and how we have to continue to fight for our republic to this day. Because the impeachment sham that's going on currently is just the second chapter, but we can't forget why this impeachment is going on. And part of my talk today is to explain to you how we got to this point. But before I do that, of course, I would like to acknowledge all of our elected representatives in this room. You're my honored Annie Marie Delgado, of course. From Team 2020 and the great job that you guys are all doing here along the state of Florida. I want to see chapters opening up in California. Don't forget, I'm running in California because I want to take California back. All right, this is the Sunshine State, but California was the breadbasket of this beautiful country, and the Dems are sinking it. We have a great governor here, Ron DeSantis. He's turning the tide. But like you mentioned, Ron DeSantis. But how close was that election? How close? You understand? How close? History could have changed in this great state with just a simple election for the governorship. So I'm going to start with what was going on in 2014 and what Burisma is, what Hunter Biden was really up to, and why there was the Russia collusion. I'm not afraid of these people. Well, and before I even get to him, I want to talk about John Bolton for a second. This guy. I'm unscripted, by the way. I had a speech, but I'm not going by it, so I'm going to just talk from the heart. I hope you don't mind, okay? Before I even joined the Ben Carson, who likes Ben Carson here, by the way? I have to acknowledge Dr. Ben Carson because he was the first candidate I worked for. Even though, and I want to just share a little story about Dr. Ben Carson. It was in the summer of 2015 where I was working in DC along with people who were very well connected to none other than John Bolton. And these people hated candidate Donald Trump, candidate Ben Carson. They told me, your career is skyrocketing here in DC. You're 28 years old, you've been here 5 years. We are going to introduce you to the establishment. And who were the establishment? Sleepy Jeb. All the losers. Okay? All the losers. They told me Clinton's probably going to win. These are Bolton colleagues. I used to work at an institute called the Hudson Institute in Washington, D.C. Some of you might know of it. With people like Scooter Libby, he was Vice President Dick Cheney's chief of staff, Douglas Feith, Undersecretary of Defense under George W. Bush. So you can understand this was a very small-knit circle. They wanted to get a conservative of their type elected. So they all put their money and their expertise, whatever that even means, okay? The same experts who put us in all these quagmires in the Middle East. We've spent $15 trillion on wars that we didn't have to go into. We lost our beautiful men and women who serve our country so well. And just, it wasn't worth it. So these same experts are the ones who were telling me in 2015, if you join an outsider like Ben Carson or Donald Trump, you're history. Your career is going to go up in flames, and they have absolutely no chance in hell of winning. So for me, the easy route would have been to join Marco Rubio, who I think is a good senator, by the way. He has some things he has to work on. I don't know, he kind of flips a little bit on the president, so I really don't know why he does that and why he feels he has to appeal to CNN, because at the end of the day he's going to end up losing his Senate seat if he continues down this route. And they told me, go get your feet wet, go join one of these campaigns, and that would have been the easy route for me, but not the route to victory. So what did I do? I left them. I resigned from my position and I reached out in the summer of 2015 to the Trump campaign. When the Trump campaign had, I think, 3 formal workers, maybe 4, including a security guard. At the time, it was Corey Lewandowski, Hope Hicks, and this guy, George Gigikos, who ran the advance team, and then I think the tall bodyguard, Keith, what's his name, Schiller, I think. And Corey Lewandowski reached out right away, and he said, you have an interesting background, why don't we stay in touch? This was summer of 2015, so I was on the Trump train from the summer of 2015. I wasn't one of these high climbers. I believed right away that this guy had a message, a tangible message, that was going to address our economic concerns, our immigration concerns, and our security concerns, and he had real tangible policies that would help ameliorate those problems. No other candidate did. Every other candidate was talking about the United States as this shining city on a hill, which is great in good times. In the summer of 2015, ISIS was running rampant. Christians were getting their heads cut off. Illegal immigration was rampant in this country. We had an opioid crisis. We had a debt crisis, student debt crisis. We lost our way in this country under Obama. Would you agree with that? We lost our identity under Obama. Would you agree with that? So I saw a candidate who would bring back not only economic prowess, security, our livelihoods, but also our culture and our identity as patriotic Americans. He was not afraid to say that it's good to feel American. He wanted you to feel proud to be American. He wanted us to be one nation under our flag. It didn't matter what color the skin you had or what religion you had. Yes. The mainstream media immediately called upon him and called him a racist because he said he wanted to keep illegal migrants from around the world out of this country. Do we realize that the border between the United States and Mexico is not simply keeping good Mexican people out? The candidate never said that. There are migrants from around the world, including the Middle East, South Asia, Africa, Central America, who come to Mexico when we don't know how to vet these people. We don't know what they're bringing over, what their intents are, and if they had a real benefit to our country, they should come through the legal process to this country. That's what the candidate always said. You know, it's a touchy subject for me because my wife, who couldn't make it today, she's from Italy, and she's a legal immigrant in this country, and we're going through the legal process to get her citizenship. So it's timely, it's costly, but it's the legal route and it's the moral route to citizenship in this country. And she herself, I'm speaking for her, but she would say the same thing if she was here, she would not want it any other way. So when she sees people flying through the border, coming across the border, and you don't know who these people are, she gets mad. She says, you know, I'm a lawyer. Well, she's a lawyer in Europe, and she's going to practice here soon. And I still don't have a green card, but these people come across the border, they have the right to work immediately. They're living in the shadows. We don't know why they're here, and it's really a ticking time bomb, not only demographically, but also for security purposes. So I was so happy to see the candidate actually announce that he wanted to build this wall, which thank God it is being constructed to this day. There's nothing racist about upholding the rule of law in your country and sovereignty. Amen. We are not keeping legal immigrants out. This country was founded upon immigrants. We want the rule of law upheld. That's what the wall is about. We want to stem the free flow of weapons as well, and of drugs. We are losing hundreds of Americans a day to an opioid crisis. Where are these opioids and these methamphetamines and these drugs coming from? Primarily from the Mexican border. Yes, sir. Okay? And the United States is not the only country in the world who wants and has a wall. Israel has a wall, and it's working great. Okay? Saudi Arabia has a wall with Iraq. Yes, sir. Okay? Greece is building a wall with Turkey to keep migrants coming out from the Middle East into Europe. There's basically a maritime wall between North Africa and Southern Europe today, but no one says anything about it. But they have to call out candidate Trump because anything he says, it's either racist, it's illegal, or it's done in bad faith. I happen to disagree. So after I got in touch with Lewandowski and we have this back and forth, I end up joining Ben Carson's campaign first. I get a call from Barry Bennett, who was the campaign manager at the time, and he says, I heard about you at the Hudson Institute, this group I was working at. We need some help. And this was a time when, one thing about Ben Carson is he was the only candidate that was actually leading in the polls against candidate Trump. Do you remember that? Yeah. The only one, even though it was for a couple of weeks. It just showed really how, what a compelling story and such a strong, inspiring individual he is. And if there was really one candidate that represented the American dream and the ideal of America, it was Ben Carson. I mean, absolutely. This was an individual born into poverty, a single-parent household, an illiterate mother, with all the statistics completely against him. But what did he have going for him? He had God, his mother, and education. And a good mother who instilled morality and education and the Word of God in him daily. And that's exactly why he came onto the national scene the way he did, why I'm so proud to see him as Secretary of FUD, and why I was honored to have worked for his campaign until he dropped out. Once he dropped out, I was looking around, and I still saw various candidates. I said, should I go back to my establishment colleagues and work with Jeb Bush, who was still in the race, or should I... maybe Jeb Bush pays really well. He had about $300 million in donors, but I reached out to Corey one last time, and I said, Corey, we've been back and forth for about 7 months now. I just left Ben Carson's campaign. I want to join your campaign. You have a winner here, and I want to help you win. He gets back to me. I get on board. In March of 2016, I officially joined the Trump campaign, and that's when I noticed the world was collapsing. Not on me. Well, thank you for that. But this gets into the coup now. I'm getting into the spying and the coup now, okay? because what was going on in March 2016 in front of my eyes among various informants, foreign governments who had an axe to grind against candidate Trump and who had vested interest in Hillary Clinton winning, this was going on as early as 2015 and as soon as I joined the campaign. And let me give you some examples. Who's ever read my book or who knows something about my story or General Flynn's story might have heard the names Stefan Halper or Joseph Mifsud. Are you familiar with these two people? These two individuals, one is a spy from Italy working with the British, and the other is an American working for the British, Joseph Mifsud and Stefan Halper. Now, why did I bring these two up and why did I bring up General Flynn? These two informants, spies, were targeting General Flynn in 2015. This is something some of you might not know, but his great lawyer, Sidney Powell, just discovered that about a month ago. Once I joined the Trump campaign in March of 2016, who pops into my life? Joseph Mifsud. Joseph Mifsud, 2 months after he's interacting with General Flynn, wants to meet with me. He begins to spy on me, ask me about the campaign, about the policies of the campaign, acting as if he's an American ally. He's somebody who's very well connected to the U.S. government, not to make me nervous. Because these people don't come as enemies, they come as your friends. I'm going to help you with the campaign, and I think Donald Trump should meet Vladimir Putin. And Donald Trump, candidate Donald Trump at the time, was talking openly about working at a strategic level with Vladimir Putin, which, by the way, I believed in back then, and I believe in today. China is America's primary security and economic threat. Okay? Russia is a dwindling power. However, working with Russia helps stabilize U.S. interests in Ukraine and Syria. Everything President, and of course it de-escalates two nuclear armed powers going head-to-head and starting an arms race. This was the logic behind candidate Donald Trump talking about working with Russia. Where this nonsense and this fantasy about collusion and Russian interference in our democratic system came from, this was a manufactured, illegal ploy by the Clinton machine and a complicit media. And I'm going to give you some details, exactly what's going on here. As I'm working on the Trump campaign and Joseph Mifsud and some of these other people are starting to reach out to me from U.S. allied governments like the UK, Australia, and even Ukraine, they start later on recording conversations that I was having with them. They start to feed me fake information about Russia and Donald Trump, all with the purpose to basically sabotage the Trump campaign, to help Hillary Clinton win. And if Clinton lost, it would become the pretext to have hostile relations with Russia and to appoint a special counsel, and that's exactly what all of this setup was all about. They understood that when Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton, he was accountable to nobody except the American people. He wasn't accountable to the special interests, to the various foundations, or to foreign governments who wanted specific trade deals or security partnerships enacted that would have harmed U.S. interests like Clinton wanted. No. Candidate Donald Trump was going to serve the American people from day one, and that's exactly what he's been doing. But that's not what the establishment wanted. They had their own interests. And that's exactly why Jim Comey started to leak this information. Leaking Jim Comey, right? The guy who's under criminal investigation today. Yeah. Who knew that? Did you guys know that Jim Comey's under criminal investigation right now? Yes. Now think about it. Think about what I'm saying here. The individual who initiated this hoax upon our country and our candidate and his campaign is now under criminal investigation for those same actions. Another FBI attorney, Kevin Kleinsmith, is under criminal investigation today. You have, who's familiar with John Durham here? We have an entire new criminal investigation ongoing today based on this hoax, and we're going to get to the bottom of how it happened, who was behind it, and whether they should have their doors knocked down, like Roger Stone and I had, or they should get arrested at an airport, like some of us did, and thrown in prison for years, like Paul Manafort.
Let's go.
Okay? I'm tired of a two-tiered system in this country. I'm tired of it. I, like all of you in this room, and I think millions of Americans in this country, a beautiful country of ours, we want accountability. We want to see the hammer fall on the other side now. And this impeachment sham, I guarantee you, once there's a swift acquittal very soon, you're going to start hearing a lot more about what Attorney General Barr is up to, what the Durham probe is all about. And you're going to realize that this entire spying operation against our candidate, Donald Trump, and his team was to undermine you. No one wanted to respect your vote. According to the interests, if you've read my book and you know some of my story, you'll understand what kind of interests we were up against. We were up against, oh my goodness, the interests of the Clinton Foundation, people who were accepting bribes from the Clintons and foreign governments, the Ukrainians. Why do you think the president is calling out the Ukrainians today? Because they were actively seeking to undermine him and his team. Because they all had vested interest in the Clinton presidency. They don't care about you. They were looking out for their country's interests. And they were going to get it and sell it to the highest bidder, which was Clinton. Thank God for President Trump, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to just leave it here first. I'm going to leave you with one somber note. When the Mueller team intercepted me and they squeezed me and told me that you're not our target, we want other people, and you can become a hero, basically. Just tell us what we want to know. They had this. They wanted to create a theory that the campaign was part of this collusion scheme. You'll be free. Nothing will happen to you, and you'll move on with your life. And you know what I said? I'd rather go to jail than lie against the president. And that's exactly why. And my wife, if she was here, she would say the same thing. She said to me, during this moment, when I was under this seal, I couldn't speak, I couldn't do anything, she said, if you turn against the president and lie, I'm going to leave you, and you're going to be viewed as a shameful rat all your life. And that's not something I am. That's not something General Flynn is. And that's not something Roger Stone is. All right? Because we're all in this together, ladies and gentlemen. Because what happens to myself, General Flynn, and Roger Stone tomorrow could happen to you. So I'm speaking for all of you in this room. Okay? We want accountability. The president will get accountability for us. I fought from 2015 for him. I'm going to continue to fight for him. That's why I'm running for Congress as well. Florida's beautiful. Florida's beautiful, but I think California needs a lot more. Well, I love Florida.
No taxes.
No taxes. No.
And there's more Republicans.
There are, but California needs more help, guys. California is a sick, okay, and there are small enclaves that are winnable districts, including the one that I'm running for right now. The district that I'm running for, I'm not doing this for notoriety or to get my name out there. That's not the purpose. I actually have a beautiful life with my wife in Los Angeles. We've fully recovered, thank God, by the support of various Americans like you and by God's grace. So by me running, it's not for myself. It really is because I want to get the horrible policies that the Democrats are presented to people in California out of the way. What happens in California, just like what happens in Florida, affects the rest of the nation. Okay, these are two major states that, we need to assure remain in Republican hands. The district I'm running in is a winnable district. It was held by the Republicans for 25 years. I'm very proud to say we're neck and neck with Steve Knight, who was the former incumbent congressman who lost to Katie Hill in terms of fundraising. I'm going to need your support, everybody, to continue to get this race out. We have the primary in less than a month. You're going to see me on TV a lot talking more about my candidacy. and how this spy scandal is affecting future elections. I need your support, ladies and gentlemen, because I fought for you, I fought for this country, and I need your help now more than ever, so did the President. And if we want to stop this impeachment sham from continuing and ever happening again, we need to flip the House. Okay? We need to flip the House. And that's what I want to do. I want to flip the House, and my first day in Congress would be to reach out to the administration, to the President, and tell him, instead of having California be named the resistant state, which it is today, it's going to be called the red state. And that's Reagan's town. Reagan came from there. That was a glorious state. And we're going to flip California back. We're going to make it red. We're going to make it great again, just like Florida is today. Thank you so much for your time and for listening to me, for your support. God bless you. And God bless America.
Out there signing some books and doing some books or no?
You're leading the charge.
Oh, that's up to me again. Of course I'm leading the charge. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so proud to announce that you will be able to get a personal autograph book right outside this door here. But let's just make sure that you understand. We must take the House back. We must take the House back. Candidates like this, and let me tell you something. This is what I do for a living. Numbers is my world. I can turn the numbers out and we look at the numbers. And when I look at the numbers, he is a winner. He's got this seat.